On the left, we have my 2013 Toyota Sienna. On my right, we have the 2023 Toyota Sienna Hybrid. What does 10 years difference make between these two vehicles other than about a $20,000 difference in price? Well, let's find out. The biggest difference between these two minivans is underneath the hood. My 2013 has a 2GR 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6 with around 266 horsepower. I'm getting a scolding 18 miles per gallon here on the front wheel drive. It does come in all-wheel drive as an option, which is going to, of course, lower your fuel economy. But I do have a silky smooth 6-speed automatic transmission in here. The new model has a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine, and this car is on, mind you, and that's the power of hybrids, is that when you're just sitting and idling, the engine can turn off, while this one chugs fuel. So around 245 horsepower, about 20 horsepower less compared to the V6 model, but I'm able to get over 35 miles per gallon in this family hauler. It also comes in all-wheel drive. This is a front-wheel drive model, but the penalty for going all-wheel drive isn't going to be as drastic as it is adding a physical and mechanical all-wheel drive system to the V6. They just put an electric motor in the back here. Now as I close this hood, this is super light. This is an aluminum hood. As I come over here, this hood feels like it weighs at least twice as much on the V6 and you hear it slam down. Now my 2013 unfortunately didn't come with parking sensors. My 2004 before this actually had parking sensors. Here on this XSE trim, and by the way, this is an XLE. On the sportier XSE trim, we do have parking sensors in the front. You also have radar cruise control, which this one does not have. You'll see the modern updated headlights as well with the LED daytime running lights. And then here we just have these ugly halogen bulbs for your daytime illumination. Down here at the bottom, we have some fog lights, as well as fog lights over there on the new model. 17-inch wheels here get the job done. And then you have these huge 20-inch sport wheels on this XXC model. Now, both of these models actually have a remote opening of all the doors, the sliding doors and the rear door as well. Now we use this van for everything, taking kids to go biking, to the park, we take it to the beach, take kids to school in this thing. We also have a stowable 8th seat in this vehicle for the middle bench. We have a little light back here as well as a 12 volt. No kick sensor, but we do have a power lift gate. Now getting into the back, it's a simple pull and it opens up automatically for us. All the car seats are actually in the new van, so we can actually have a decent idea of the leather seats in here, where the new model has soft text, unless you get maybe the Platinum, which will have leather seats. We have the DVD player in here. Actually, I don't believe this is from the factory, but it was dealer installed, and it works great for our family, so we're very, very happy about it. Tons of legroom. This seat is all the way back. Like, this is supreme luxury here. This is where you can fit in that extra seat. The kids in the back have no problem being comfortable back there. We have cup holders and sunshades for the passengers in the back. We have vents on the top, vents over here as well. Mat pockets on each side. If I slide this down, cup holders for the kiddos. I do wish this piece was removable, but it is kind of connected to this seat. I'm never in the back row, but you also have this climate control back here. I like where this button is here on the older models. On the new model, it's like all the way down here, so it's just a more comfortable area for me to press this button and close. So just press, let the door close. Let's go ahead and get in the front seat here. We have some lumbar support. This gives you an idea how well this seat has held up after about 10 years. The leather, it's starting to crack a bit. It doesn't help that it's, it gets exposed to extreme temperatures here in Florida, but this vehicle only has about 40,000 miles. So let's talk about materials here. Soft touch here, we got a little wood grain. It's probably fake wood, but at least it looks good. Hard touch here on the armrest. Pretty basic, and I feel like this sort of setup here is very cheap. Hard touch all the way around on the dash. At least we have 2 glove boxes here, which is pretty handy, especially with all the DVDs and things that we have typically in our cars. A large space. Look how much space is in here. That's something we won't see on the new model, but just tons of pass-through space. You can actually remove this, but it's not easy. It's not like a latch. You have to take out some bolts and everything. Couple cup holders here. This slides out to reveal a couple more cup holders. We have heated seats here. We have plug-in here, so a 12 volt, and then down below we have another 12 volt and an aux port and a USB. So I actually have a USB Bluetooth adapter that plugs in there, and I can play my phone in here through Bluetooth, since even though this does have Bluetooth, it's impossible for me to connect my phone to it. It's so ancient. We have a very basic screen here. I'm not going to play with it too much, but it actually doubles as our backup camera. When I got this vehicle, I couldn't see out of the back. I thought it was dirty, but it was actually painted over from the factory. Silver paint was on the back of the backup camera, or unless it was a touch-up job done by the previous owner, I'm not quite sure. That there's no rear accident on the Carfax. But yeah, I cleaned up the rear camera now it's crystal clear. It's just really small. This might actually be the exact same rear view mirror as we'll see in the next model. We have a sunroof in here, and I like the simplicity of the doors here. So just one press and it opens, and use that same button to close it. Pretty handy. The steering wheel has not held up all that well. You can see some chips. We got it like this in January, and you can just put a steering wheel cover if it really bothers you, but no heated steering wheel here. And you can see we're missing some features, maybe some safety features here on the steering wheel as well. It still has normal cruise control and very basic odometer and speedometer here. Nothing is customizable behind the steering wheel. You can see on the odometer, we're getting close to 43,000 miles. You also have the push and pull rear vents here. So push down, those rear windows open up mechanically, which is pretty cool. No blind spot monitor, even though it was an option for this year. And if I pull this down, you got a change holder and whatever else you want to put in there. I still like having the analog dials here for volume and tuning. And then down below we have climate control. Honestly, I'm still getting used to it. It's not as simple as our 2004 minivan. You have all this customization over here, and sometimes it's been hard for me to sync everything all together between the front row and the back rows. But auto typically gets it done, and you really have to crank this AC system to get it to blow cold compared to our 2004. But that's what ended up killing our 2004 is the AC compressor. And that's why we got this van instead. But should we upgrade this van that we've only had for about 6 months for the new model? Let's go ahead and check it out. XSE has this nice blacked out rear end, blacked out Sienna lettering. We got the blue Toyota hybrid logo, hybrid down here, XSE. Let's see if the kick sensor will work here. There it goes. That's a nice, super nice feature to have on a modern vehicle. Headrests are out of the second row just because we have car seats back there. This is something that our 2013 could only dream of, is an AC 1500 watt power outlet back here. The Stone Go system in here is a little bit easier to use than on the 10-year-old model compared to this. And it looks like maybe on some of the models that have an 8-seat setup, you might be able to stow a seat here. But I think there was also supposed to be a vacuum for this model that never materialized. Let's go ahead and kick to close again. Let's see if we can kick to close one more time. There it goes. Took me 3 times to close it, and then it didn't. Oh, there it goes. It beeps a little bit before it slams your head. Now, these are the huge improvements for a family man compared to our model. And this is where it comes to automation. You see this little wireless piece down here? You can kick to open the side door, and that is a game changer. It's super, super easy. In fact, I'm gonna close this again with a kick. There it goes. What I love about these doors, well, yeah, the kick is great, but this little button here, our little 6 and 7-year-old, they still struggle to open the door. They have to throw the whole body into it. But if they could just press this button, there it goes, that opens. I wish we had that on our van to make it easier for the kids to get in and out. All right, let's go ahead and slide this seat back. These seats actually slide further back than in our model, but we don't need to put them all the way back because our 6 and 7-year-old do have legs. Mat pockets on each side, just like our model. Now in the sporty model, we have this orange stitching as well around the seats, at least in the second and first row, not in the third row. And you can see I have Bluey playing. We have a DVD player in here, but not from Toyota. They just give you an HDMI port. So I bought a $20, $30 DVD player on Amazon, next day shipping, and this thing is crazy. It's actually running out of the USB port inside of here. That's all the power it needs. So you don't even need the 1500 watt power adapter. Let me turn down the chill Sirius XM, something our model, you know, we might actually have Sirius XM capability on that van, but I wouldn't even want to go through the loopholes of activating on that old technology. But you can just see our DVD case fits down here, no problem. Our DVD player underneath this bridge. I don't like this bridge overall just because it kind of makes us feel claustrophobic compared to our van, but it does have a lot of storage capacity. So it is functional, I'll give it that. And for long road trips, you have lots of cup holders. Okay, so back here we have a nice Sienna logo with more USB ports. Again, in the very back here, you have volume control for the headphones, which plug into the screen, but I'm not gonna mess with that right now. And you also have illuminated USB-C and USB-A back here, and volume control for this passenger over here. Really tiny. This is like a miniature bottle cup holder, where ours has 2 full-size cup holders. And luckily we have vents on the top of the roof, just like we have in our 2013. Oh, and this is a really nice piece as well. We just have one small handle here at the top. This like encompasses pretty much the whole opening here. These doors open very, very wide, maybe even wider than our 2013. And then when you're reaching for the button in here, it's kind of awkward because our button would be around this area. It's all the way down here. I actually, if I'm standing straight up, I can't reach it. I actually have to bend over to hit this button. But I could also press that button or pull that handle. There's lots of different ways to close that door, or use a kick sensor. You also have illuminated Sienna. Actually, I don't know if this is illuminated. Yes, it is. It's kind of hard to tell. It's actually very bright. It's so bright during the day that it doesn't even look like it's illuminated. Just like it's painted like a neon blue. It looks pretty cool here. Materials are much better on this model. We have soft touch here compared to my 2013. Soft touch here, probably nicer stitching overall as well. Soft touch in this portion. Hard touch down here where you can slot in additional drinks and other things. These seats do feel pretty nice overall, but they are not leather. Again, these are Softex fake leather seats, but you know what, in my opinion, I'd rather have these in my leather seats because these are more durable than traditional leather seats. They last longer. Just look at my 2012 Prius, for example, with similar technology. So here's your AC control. If you want to pump the 1500 watts through there, I tried it with a PlayStation 3. I got my PlayStation 3 working in here, but the DVD player broke on it. I couldn't eject the disc, so that's when I ordered that $20, $30 basic DVD player. It doesn't play Blu-rays, but it's much more space efficient in here. I'm gonna turn on the AC, and this is much more compact, obviously, for the climate control in here. I much prefer this setup than I have in my old van for climate control. It's very basic, straight to the point. I'm not overstimulated with knobs and buttons for the second row either. I like this setup 10 times more. We also have heated seats here, and the option would be ventilated and maybe the platinum trim, for example. Wireless phone charger, but you know, those are hit or miss for me whether they work or not. Here's where you plug in for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, something I would love to have in my van. Instead, I sometimes use little holders to prop up my phone. Like I mentioned before, this is not my favorite cup of tea, this bridge, because it takes away from the space, the spaciousness that a minivan is supposed to provide. However, when we took this to Disney World about a year and a half ago, we actually used all these cup holders and made use of the more utilitarian space instead of the more airiness space in our van. Here's that USB that's powering the DVD player right now. We have a felt lined bottom portion to the storage cubby, and and it doesn't always, you gotta line up the cord here just perfectly for it to close, otherwise it won't want to close. Built-in armrest, or I believe in ours they're fold down, and you know, this is actually set up really well for me at my height anyways. The steering wheel with the orange stitching in it, I like a lot. I also love having radar cruise control, lane keep assist in here. It's a big improvement, as well as blind spot monitor. I can't say that enough. I really wish my 2013 had it. Now this is a pretty basic setup behind here. We only have a 4-inch screen, which I'm perfectly okay with. I'm very comfortable with this screen. You can see where's my fuel economy? There it is. I've been idling it a lot, so that's not really indicative of what it's capable of. Stay tuned for my full review where we go on a little trip with the family where we get better fuel economy, or at least a more accurate reading of fuel economy in day-to-day usage. Upper models, I believe, come with a 7-inch screen, but it won't be long before Toyota refreshes this in the next year or so before we have either a 7-inch screen standard or a 12-inch fully digital MID that we see in newer Toyota and Lexus products. Same thing with this screen. This is a 9-inch screen, which is all based off the old Toyota technology. I'm actually too cold right now. I got to turn this down. I also love seeing this screen in here telling me what's going on with the hybrid system, just like my 2012 Prius inside the garage. Lastly, for materials, before we wrap this up, is we have soft touch on the edge of the dash, where in my 2013, it's all hard touch, like the back portion of the dash. Sunroof here, just like my 2013. Here's a rearview mirror that looks identical to my 2013, so it's probably just been in the Toyota parts bin for a long time. This is something, I don't know if it's in my 2013, but it was in my 2004. This is your cabin mirror that is real wide angle, allows you to see what the kids are doing A lot of people probably don't even know this is in their van. No sunglasses holder in here, unfortunately. So let's talk about, here's your sunroof control, but let's talk about these door openers. I don't want to have to think about two different buttons here for open and close. I just want one button like my 2013, and that's how my 2004 was before that. Instead, Toyota for this newest generation has decided to have a separate button for open and close, which makes it much more difficult until maybe you get used to it. But my 2013, I can just not even look and press up here. Now I have to look to make sure I'm pressing open instead of just having one big button here to do both functions. That's just a small gripe. I could easily live with it. Also, my 2013 doesn't have JBL. That was an option in my model year. My 2004 did, but honestly, my 2013 non-JBL sounds better than my old 2004. And I know this sounds leagues better than my 2013 non-JBL audio that we have here. And where my shifter is kind of on the dash, leaving up a lot of space, this shifter is here on the bridge, which is kind of cool to have a floating shifter, but totally unnecessary. I still wish it was open. I could say that 100 times in a row, but this is a technology that I wish was on my car as well, which is an auto brake hold. So pretty much holds your brake when you're in stop and go traffic, and then releases the brake when you press the gas pedal. Love that feature. You also have additional drive modes in here. You have eco, normal, and sport. And luckily it remembers which preference you have it in when you turn off the car and restart it. So I actually like eco mode because it is most similar to how my 2013 van drives, more smoothed out, more predictable at low speeds. I'm not going to drive either of these vans in this particular video, but stay tuned for my driving impressions and family review of this XSE Sienna for 2023. Some side notes is that this is a much better handling. It has a sport tuned suspension compared to my loaf of bread 2013 model. The steering is much firmer in here, which I actually prefer compared to my loosey-goosey, never know what it's actually doing steering on my 2013. When the engine is off here, it's super smooth, but when that 4-cylinder needs to chip in, it is a bit grindy, grainy, and rough. Where my V6, since it's on all the time and you have that even smoothness of the V6 engine, it purrs at all speeds, all RPMs, all the time. And then that's one of the things I would have to give up in order to get double the fuel economy, which is totally worth it, but it's something that I wish I could have my cake and eat it too, and have a buttery smooth powertrain all the time when it's only part of the time here when you're only driving in electric mode. But over 70% of you in the poll said you would rather have the new Sienna with incredible fuel economy, great safety features, new design, but some of you would still prefer the old school model and maybe a little bit more traditional with the V6. But I'll see you guys battle it out down below. Let me know again which model you would be going for. Would be saving about $22,000 on my 2013, which you can get on the market for around $25,000. This comes in around $47,000. How it's equipped in this XSE model. They're both good buys. Honestly, I don't think you could go wrong with either, but I'm gonna shut it down there. I'll see you guys in the comments and in the next video where I review this. Have a great day. Smash the like button if you made it this far. I appreciate that. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.